So I actually recorded this video last week and then I found out the footage was garbage. You could hear like the fan on in the background the whole time.
DeadHatz.
So I'm starting a new series called Lost Magic where I talk about stuff that was cool that doesn't exist anymore. Today's episode is going to be about Digital Bogeymen and why they still aren't a thing, what it was and why isn't a thing anymore. So first let's go over Digital Bogeymen. What is a Digital Bogeyman? A Digital Boogeyman is a boogeyman, someone that makes you afraid to check under your bed or in your closet and stuff like that, except on the digital world. There's plenty of examples of this, but I'd say one of the more popular ones was Herobrine. People used to think Herobrine was real, and I was one of those guys. I remember playing Minecraft on a survival solo world back in the day, years ago, like 2011. I was just playing by myself, having fun, and then I remember being told the story. Like, I already knew about it, but then I remember a creepy story my friend told me about Herobrine, and at first, I'm like, well, whatever, it doesn't exist, Most people, that'd be rational thinking, but I kept letting it get to me, and I literally got off the game and tried to go to sleep early because I was so scared that I would run into him into the game. It wasn't even, like, that scary. I think when I was doing, like, research on YouTube way back when, I found, like, one jump scare video, and that just made me terrified of him. That's all it took was one jump scare, and I didn't even go on YouTube for like the whole week. Basically, someone who is 100% fictional and made up, but was still kind of a boogeyman and made you afraid to do certain things on the internet. Another example would be the Webkinz Killer. For those of you who don't know what this is, basically back in the day, there's this game called Webkinz. You buy a little stuffed animal and you take care of them on this internet browser game. And there's this guy named Dr. Quack. There's a rumor spreading around that when you take your Webkinz to Dr. Quack, he'll just have a random chance to go insane and kill them. Obviously, this isn't remotely real, but it scared a lot of people to the point where they wouldn't even bring Dr. Quack to their Webkinz or bring their Webkinz to Dr. Quack because they're afraid he'd go evil and kill their Webkinz. And we know nowadays that this isn't real, obviously. And not all these digital boogeymen are just related to video games. Those are just some of the more well-known ones. Another example of a digital boogeyman would be Zalgo. So Zalgo was this creepypasta, but it didn't start off as a creepypasta, but most people remember the creepypasta. Basically, it's supposed to be like an eldritch being that takes the form of like a virus that infects images and different forms of media and eventually will infect this world. Obviously, it's not going to happen, but it did make me think that there was a virus named Zalgo. And it made me afraid that even just opening a Zalgo type image is going to infect my computer with the Zalgo virus or something. Not real, but it made me afraid to even look it up, which, it has a boogeyman effect. As a kid, you're too scared to check under your bed. You're too scared to do something over this fictional entity. But why exactly is this lost magic? Well, the thing is, I feel people are just way too educated for these type of things nowadays. If you tried to recreate one of these nowadays, it would not work out for you. Everyone would know it's fake almost the entirety of the time. It was a simpler time back then. People nowadays, you can Google search almost anything and find the answer. Back then, there was like things that Google just couldn't answer. Like if you looked up marble hornets when it first came out, you'd just find the YouTube video. You wouldn't really find people explaining it like you do nowadays if you were to look it up. Another reason it's dead is because hoax spreading is pretty much out of fashion. Sadly, I think hoax spreading is quite hilarious and even useful at times, but I can understand why people don't like hoax spreading. For example, no one likes a celebrity death hoax. Most people don't like a celebrity death hoax. Hey man, some of those are funny. Except the time when I was tricked that Stan Lee died. Before he actually died, I was a little mad when I found out. I was like, oh my god, dude, I hate you. Obviously, it's still a joke, but it's looked down upon, No one likes to be tricked. But the sad part about that is some of those hoaxes were used to spread these little digital boogeymen are nowhere to be found anymore. Back then you had to focus more on like common sense to kind of figure these things out rather than being able to look it up and find out if it's real or not like that. Another reason is because changes in storytelling. A lot of unfiction back then had to rely on that digital boogeyman aspect, whereas nowadays people know what unfiction is and they know what ARGs are. They'll know if you're trying to do something just for the sake of your story. They'll still follow your story, but no one's going to actually fall for it. most of the time. I don't know. Some people thought Peaceful Watcher was real. But majority of the time, people are going to know it's fake, and it's no longer the most preferred form of storytelling, which is another reason I don't think that this is going to be around. Well, that this is around anymore. I mean, it's already not around. I wouldn't be making the video of it. Well, since I am re-recording this video, I actually saw this video by Sagan Hawks where he discusses Ghost in the Machine. It's really good, by the way. I'd definitely check it out. It is like an hour and a half long, though, but it is a solid video. A perfect example would be the first segment he talks about this ARG called, or that focuses around the Interloper, which has to do with source games. What the point I'm trying to make is that entity, if that came out 10 years ago, people would 100% believe the Interloper is real. If he had all the evidence he does now and made this exact style of content like 10 years ago, people would be eating out of this guy's hand. Everyone would actually think the Interloper is real and would probably be trying to hunt it down just like they did with Harriman. But the bad part is it's 2023. Don't get me wrong, the series is excellent. I found out about it through that video and I've been following along because it's so well made. But everyone knows it's fake almost off the get-go. And it's such a shame. But at the same time, you know, the internet's evolving. Obviously stuff like that isn't going to work anymore. But that's why I think Digital Bogeymen is nothing more than lost magic. Thank you guys for watching. This is a shorter video because I wanted to get something out there. I have like 2 more videos in the works, but I've been working on a consistent schedule plan. If you couldn't tell, my background is completely different because I just basically moved in a way. And this was so I have more space to expand and focus on this. All right, I'm out.
Subscribe to DeadHatz or you'll die tomorrow.